So the most important fact is when you go and visit a particular customer, it's normally on site. So you go to his particular premises and you say to him, what do you want? And you've got to listen to him. And he'll say to you, I'm looking for shade that's here. And he's got a mental picture, and you've got to understand what he wants. You have to understand what he wants. You have to talk to him. Okay, where do you want it from there? You want it to there? You want it like this? What color, what size, what shape? You have to talk to him. The most important factor is when you're standing there, you have to start getting a mental picture in your own mind about how can I do this? What do I need to do? Where can I put attachment points in? What angle must I look at? Where's the sun? Where's the wind? When are they going to sit here? You have to ask yourself these questions to understand exactly what you've got, what you can provide him. And then you have to tell him exactly what you're going to be putting there. You've got to say to him, I can put an attachment point there, I can put one there, and I can put one up there, and I can do this, and I can do that, and it's going to have this type of shape. And you can say on the edge of it, it's going to have a catenary. The catenary is the angle that you have from your attachment points. It's a bend in the fabric. And that is caused, the reason for that is to tension your fabric properly. And you have to tell him that it's going to reduce the shade. You have to say as well that I'm going to put a tensioner over there. So your shade's not going to start at the wall. Your shade's going to start that far from the wall. And you have to explain that to him, because once you put it up, if it's not what he wants, it becomes a big argument. So very, very important. Get a mental picture. Identify where the attachment points are. Explain what you want, what you can provide. Also, I mentioned it earlier, explain the warranty. So the warranty will basically say, this fabric's going to stay here for 10 years. We will assure you of that. What you need to do is also try and picture alternatives. So if he wants something which is a little bit too difficult, what you have to do is say, hang on, if I put another pole there, I can have 2 shade sails rather than 1 big shade sail. So you have to look at alternatives at the same time. When you get back to your office, your measurements need to be accurate. So you needed to have checked exactly the distances. You go back to your office and you draw out a picture with all the measurements on it. You make sure that you record everything. Very, very important. A lot of people use computer programming. Some people will use SketchUp. Some people will use other programs. Or alternatively, you can go and actually draw it by hand. You take the attachment points into consideration. And then you have to work out exactly what is the space of your tensioners, your D-rings, your shackles, everything. You have to work out exactly what is the proper size of that shade sail. Very important. Then what happens is you have to take the gradient into account. Remember, if you're talking about a 2-dimensional plan, if it's 3-dimensional, it's got a longer distance. So you have to take into consideration the real size of the shade.